Hey guys, it's me, Caitlin, and I am here today to do something I did for Star Wars Rebels for a little bit where I would review slash recap episodes. I decided to go ahead and try it at least once with the second season of The Mandalorian, so hopefully you guys enjoy. I am saying spoiler alert, I will do my best not to do spoilers, but it will be kind of hard, I feel like, in the long run to discuss the Mandalorian without putting in spoilers. So, spoiler alert, I will do my best not to spoil a ton of it, but I probably will spoil a ton of it. I will do my best, but no guarantees. So, anyway, The Mandalorian Chapter 9, the first episode of Season 2, debuted last Friday, the day before Halloween. And I will say this, it was the perfect episode to debut with Halloween the next day. It was definitely a great choice to air that episode. It was really fun, and of course, it didn't answer any questions. So going back to the first season, the final episode of the first season, I was left. I said this in the reactions I did. I was left with so many questions at the end of the first season. And now I'm like, yay, the first episode of season 2, we're going to get some of those answers. Heck to the no. None of those are answered. I am forgetting that this is Jon Favreau with Dave Filoni, and neither of those men like to tell us answers. I had to remember that moving forward. I kind of forgot that, but now it's hitting me in the head that these two men will not give you the answers you want straight away, or they will give you the answers, but it won't look like answers. It will be hidden. So I will say this, it is interesting, and this is going to be rambling, but going back to the final episode of the first season of Redemption, it's really interesting to look at that episode and then think about all that happened now that the second season is, I'm going back and rethinking of it. Partly because I also play Star Wars The Old Republic, and when you play Star Wars The Old Republic, that is kind of, they actually do talk a lot about Mandalorians in that game. In fact, when you play the Bounty Hunter in the Imperial side, you are a Mandalorian. You do become a Mandalorian through adoption. So it is very, very interesting to be a Star Wars The Old Republic player and then like Star Wars, but more interesting in that is watching The Mandalorian now, because there is so much stuff that I feel like they're pulling from Legends, the old expanded universe, that they are bringing into The Mandalorian and thus making it canon. Like in Redemption, they mentioned the wars between the Jedi and the Mandalorians, which were a part of Legends, which of course were removed when the new canon started, but that means they're kind of putting that back in. And they mentioned Mandalore, not the planet, the leader in Old Republic, in the book Revan, and then when you looked up online, they explained that originally Mandalorians had a leader who was called Mandalore, and all the leaders were called Mandalore, and the only thing that was different is they would be Mandalore the Uniter, Mandalore the Avenger. They would have a title to differentiate them from the Mandalorians who came before them, and it wasn't something that was passed down, parent, child, parent, child, parent, child. It was something that they won. They became Mandalore through some way. It wasn't something that was automatically passed down. So to hear the Armorer talk about it in Redemption had me going, interesting. Especially when you consider that when we see Mandalorians in Clone Wars, they're being led by Duchess Satine, who is not using the title Mandalore. So that's interesting to me. Also, I would like to point out really quickly, going back and rewatching Redemption, I noticed, I don't know how I missed it the first time around, but when I watched it again, the Armorer said that Den, the Mando, is basically in charge of raising and caring for the child, or Baby Yoda. I will use both terms interchangeably. Until he is either by blood or by creed. And I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly, but that struck me as really interesting, especially when we learned that that Mando was a foundling himself and was raised by the Mandalorians in the Fighting Corps, and then you have the Armorer saying that the child is his until with blood or by creed. Basically, and this is me making an assumptions, and I don't want you guys to take what I'm saying as gospel truth. Please do not take what I am saying as gospel truth. Basically, I am saying that the Mandalorians have this particular branch of Mandalorians. They will take in foundlings, they will take in kids, and they will take care of the kids and raise the kids until either those children are returned to their biological families or maybe a family friend, but they're back with their own people, with their own family, or those kids decide to take the creed as Din did and give up what they were before to become Mandalorians and embrace the creed and the way of life of the Mandalorians. So basically, he has been quested to return Baby Yoda to his own people, as we see in Redemption, but the armor does throw in by creed. This is the way, meaning that he is responsible for the child until the child is either with his own kind again or the child decides to take the creed and become a Mandalorian. I find this concept of foundlings really, really interesting because, again, going back to Star Wars The Old Republic and having studied and looked at Mandalorian culture for a little bit, family is such a big, big part of the Mandalorian identity in Legends, which is where a lot of this comes from. And in Star Wars The Old Republic, that's where I came across this first instance of foundlings, even though they're not called that. When you play Smuggler class in Old Republic, one of your companions is a female Zabrak named Akavi, who is actually a Mandalorian. Her backstory is she was adopted by a Mandalorian clan, and they raised her, and she joined the Smuggler to seek out revenge on the Imperials, who went on to then destroy her family. So family is very, very important, and in Old Republic, and now it seems like now in canon, adoption was actually a big kind of important to Mandalorians. In fact, when you look at Mandoa, the canon language, Legends language of Mandalorians, they actually have a saying that is family is more than blood. So that is definitely like cluing me in a little bit into how these Mandalorians work. They have the foundlings. They are very much kind of like family is very, very important. And we've seen that in Rebels and in Clone Wars in the canon to a certain extent, I think, with characters like Bo-Katan and Satine Kryze. And then, of course, Sabine Wren, one of my favorite Mandalorians. We see that with her and her family drama in like seasons 3 and 4 of Rebels and what she does. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see this theme of like family play out a certain way in The Mandalorian. I mean, come on, at this point I am calling Mando Dadalorian half the time. Mando Dad. So that is really interesting. So moving on from Redemption to the first episode of season 2, which they aren't calling episode 1, it's actually chapter 9. So it looks like we're going to get another 8 episodes a season, so we'll have chapter 9 through 16. So this past week's episode was chapter 9 and was entitled The Marshal. And it started out pretty kind of dark. Like, I knew right away that they are upping maybe the maturity level, the kind of dark level, the edgy level of Mandalorian. And let's be fair, Mandalorian was not exactly kid-friendly to begin with. I mean, yes, would I feel comfortable letting my kids watch it? If they were over 10 years old. How this season goes, that might change, because definitely this first episode, it felt like we were upping the maturity. They upped the maturity factor just a little bit. Mando, it has been quested. He decides the best way to do this is to, like I talked about in this special look, is to look for other Mandalorian coverts to maybe trace and learn these legends. Because remember, this is all they have to go on right now. Because the Mandalorians and the Jedi for me personally, I think Mandalorians and Jedi are kind of similar in the fact that they are both warrior kind of races. They have strict creeds they follow. They have rules. They are trained from a young age to be these warriors. And so I think they're very similar, but also but also at the same time they're very kind of polarizing opposite, because Mandalorians are very much battle, battle, battle. Jedi are not so much battle ready, let's go, but they are very much two different warrior races with similar ideologies, but yet there's enough to make them different, and they butt heads. So of course they don't know a lot. So all the armor had to go on was to tell Mando about the legends of these sorcerers, the Force users, the Jedi. And so his idea is now to go find other Mandalorian coverts to learn more about these legends, to see if anybody else knows more, and maybe these legends and what they can tell him can help lead him to where he needs to go. So, but first he needs to find coverts because, of course, Mandalorians are living in hiding. So his first place, he goes to a Gamorrean fight. I don't know what the planet was. Granted, say it was dark, it was creepy, and there were a lot of red eyes in the shadows. So he goes, he meets a guy who says, I know where Mandalorian is, and then he kind of tries to kill Mando. Funny moment when the baby sees Mando getting his like little mini missiles ready. The baby's like, I'm out, taps the button in his cradle, poof, and he's like, I'm hiding. So that was really cute and adorable and funny. Thank God we have Baby Yoda for some funny moments. But this is where it gets dark. So Mando is successful in defeating the guy's henchman. He catches the guy, strings him up by a light outside, and basically gets the guy to confess, oh, I heard about a Mando who is on Tatooine. Because basically this guy's been attacking Mandalorians and stealing their Beskar, because Beskar is worth a lot. And Mando's like, okay, and he made the promise he wouldn't kill him, walks away, and like I said, this is where the immaturity factor comes in. He shoots out the light over the guy as the guy is dangling from the light, and that's when the little red-eyed monsters come out and eat him. And we hear his dying screams. I'm like, oh, this is good. So we're off to Tatooine. We get to the same spaceport as from season 1 with the lady still there who's like, thank the Force, you brought Baby Yoda. And I'm like, wow, she's just like all of us. Thank the Force we have Baby Yoda in 2020. She then explains that Mos Pelgricio, I can't remember how you say the name of the town. It used to be a town just like the other ones, but it has since been decimated after the Empire. So she gets out an R5. Oh my God, I saw that droid and went, that's the droid from A New Hope. She shows him on the map where he is. Mando gets a speeder bike, and he and Baby Yoda are off to go meet this mystery Mandalorian. Turns out it's not a Mandalorian after all, you guys. Like I said, I'm trying not to spoil it. It was a good episode. The Mandalorian in question turns out to be a Marshal, a guy from the town who ran away when this mining organization came in after the Empire left, took over the town. He left, stole some crystals, was picked up by some Jawas, and exchanged the crystals to the Jawas for some Mandalorian armor the Jawas had. Not just any Mandalorian armor, you guys. It was Boba Fett's armor! As soon as I saw it, I went, oh, that's Boba Fett's armor. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. It's like his armor. And basically, Mando strikes a deal because the guy is not supposed to have Mandalorian armor because he's not Mandalorian. Strikes a deal to help take out a Krayt dragon that's been torturing the town to get the armor back. This is what's interesting. Krayt dragons. Not what I thought they looked like. They look like big worms. I thought they were like legitimate dragons, not worms. That is what I've been operating on the assumption of. No, they're giant worms with lots of teeth. Again, I will say this. Perfect episode for Halloween. I got scared so many times, like the jump scare. Oh my gosh, I got scared so many times watching this episode, and my only excuse is that it's Halloween and I was already jumpy. So basically, they go off to try to find ways to defeat this Krayt dragon. They come across Tusken Raiders, and this is where in my head I'm going, oh my God, it's a Mandalorian version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. In season 1, Mando is able to negotiate with Tusken Raiders. We see that again in this episode. Oh my gosh! So it's like I'm sitting there going, he's a freaking Mandalorian warrior diplomat. Like I said, he's basically the Mandalorian version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And they managed to make a deal where the villagers and the sand people will help each other defeat the Krayt dragon and not break a piece. A little tense, but they do it. And they go to fight the Krayt dragon because the sand people want him gone too. The Tusken Raiders want him gone. So they go, and their plan is to blow up the Krayt dragon, and the plan works. I don't want to get too much into the direct battle. I will say it was awesome. It was gross because I did learn that one of the Krayt dragon's best modes of self-defense is they vomit stomach acid. Oh my gosh, that was so gross. And it wasn't once. It was like 3 or 4 times. He was like, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I wasn't eating during this episode. It was so gross. Again, perfect episode for Halloween. It made me jump, and it grossed me the heck out. But it was still good. It was still a really good episode, even with the ick factor. So, I'm not going to go into full details, because like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, and I already feel like I'm going to spoil so much. But they defeat the Krayt dragon. Needless to say, my heart stopped at one moment because of it. They defeat the Krayt Dragon, and Mando gets the armor, and he's like, thank you so much. I'm going to go now and continue this quest. You weren't the Mandalorian I was looking for. Maybe I'll find others. And this is the big spoiler moment that I will spoil for you guys. As the Mandalorian drives away on his speeder, the shot pulls back as the suns are setting, and we see a mysterious figure, a man standing on a cliff, watching Mando as he goes away. Who is this man? We don't know. Till he turns around. It's the guy who played Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones! I cannot remember his name. I think it's Tamara. I don't know. But it's him. It is him. And I do not want to say that it is Boba Fett. I do not want to say. I know the guy was confirmed to be in The Mandalorian this season. I know it. I was super excited because this guy is hysterical. He was amazing as Jango, and of course, he played the clones in Revenge of the Sith, and he was so good. And I don't want to say that it's Boba Fett. I don't want to say that it's Boba Fett. But I think it is. I think it is Boba Fett. And I'm like, oh my god, how did he survive the Sarlacc? Because in Legends, he did survive the Sarlacc. If you read the Legends book, Boba Fett did survive the Sarlacc, and at one point was even teaching Jaina Solo, Han and Leia's daughter, how to fight. So, in Legends, Boba Fett did make it out of the Sarlacc. But in canon, they're like, oh yeah, he's dead. He's gone. He's dead. But I think he's not dead, and I think they've been lying to us for years, because I'm pretty sure that mysterious guy in the clip was Boba Fett. And then, I think back to the episode from last season where they were on Tatooine, where he paired up with that guy to go get Fennec, Ming-Na Wa's character, and how, at the end of that episode, there was a figure standing over her. Is that the same figure? Is it that same guy that we saw at the episode of at the end of the Marshal? And is it Boba Fett? So, again, gross episode. Made me jump a couple times, but another amazing episode. Definitely a solid episode to start the second season with. And I watched the Blind Wave reaction to it, and they point out that it's really cool because we're not just following the main storyline. It's not just straight on storyline. It's like, there's a storyline, but we're going to go off into these little stories that interconnect to the main storyline. And seeing that makes me really excited because it does remind me, I keep going back to Star Wars The Old Republic, but here's the weird thing. This is what The Mandalorian reminds me of, is Star Wars The Old Republic. Because when you play Star Wars The Old Republic, you have, like, the main storyline. Like, this is the main storyline for your character class, which is Jedi Knight, Jedi Consular, Smuggler, Republic Trooper, Imperial Agent, Sith Warrior, Sith Sorcerer, and Bounty Hunter. So you have, like, a main storyline. And then, alongside that main storyline, with each planet, there's a planet storyline, a planet quest chain. And then, branching out from each of these are going to be mini quest chains, like other missions that you don't have to do, but they add something to the story. Like, for example, when you play the bounty hunter on the planet Balmorra, you have your main bounty hunting story. But then you have the planet mission, which is about freeing these Sith called the Dreadmasters. And those two story missions, while they run separately, they actually interlock. So when you're doing the either missions and even the mini missions, they all kind of interlock in a way. And that is what the storyline of Mandalorian kind of reminds me, is that you have the main storyline. And then you have the main storyline that runs throughout the entire season. But then you're going to have like a second kind of main storyline that runs throughout each episode. And then you might have little mini storylines that somehow interconnect all the way. I think this is why I love Dave Filoni, why I love Jon Favreau, is because they are so good, I feel like, in what I've seen them do, of doing all these little storylines and making it, like, having all this stuff going on to connect back to a main storyline and yet have it make totally perfect sense. I mean, Dave Filoni said himself during Rebels, it's like, they threw in episodes that didn't seem like they made any sense at all, but they connected some way back to the main plot, overarching plot of the series. I think that's what we're really going to see during The Mandalorian. I know for heck we saw it during the first season. I swear I saw it. So I'm really, really excited. Like I said, it was a great episode. Combination of Western, fantasy, sci-fi. Oh my gosh, I'm loving it. And here's the weird thing. A Western itself, I would not watch. But I love it. In this is like, it was so much a Western to me. And I didn't care. Any other series that does like a Western style episode, I would not want to watch that episode. I would not be a big fan of that series. I don't know why it didn't bother me here. But I loved it. I love the combination of the Western and the fantasy. And I think that's because Star Wars is basically a Western anyway. But it was awesome. And I go by other things I've said that even if you don't like Star Wars, I feel like people would like The Mandalorian because it's Star Wars, but not. I don't know how to explain it other than that. So hopefully I didn't spoil too much for you guys today. So that is my review for Season 2, Chapter 9, The Marshal. You guys go check it out. Let me know what you think. And also if you'd like me to continue doing these reviews. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching. And I will talk to you guys soon. And as always, this is the way. Bye, everybody.